My ex-girlfriend found me and wanted to hang out, but I just ignored her after she broke my heart. A little backstory. In 2015, I met this woman at college. Let's call her Casey. We had so many things in common, and we instantly got close. She asked me out, and it was a wonderful relationship, or so I thought. We had dreams together, sent X-rated pics once in a while, and we did a lot of stuff together, but not sex yet. In 2019, at Christmas time, I was going to propose to her after I gave her parents and siblings gifts. I even gave her mom, who hates me, a gift. Casey works at the hospital, so she'll get out of work later, or so I thought. 5 p.m. She didn't come to her parents' place, but I came and decided to give everyone gifts. When I give her younger sister, let's call her Sherry, a laptop, she cries and hugs me because she always wanted one for school. I gave Casey's father a new barbecue grill. Moments later, Sherry told me I couldn't contain it anymore and cried harder. I asked, "What's the matter?" She immediately grabbed me to her room, and her father came along as well. Sherry kept saying I'm sorry so many times. I was confused about why. She then showed me a pregnancy test and told me that it belonged to Casey. I completely lost it and wanted to know why and how long was the affair. Sherry informed me that the affair happened at the beginning of 2019. While I was working a lot at my factory job, she went to see him. What makes matters worse is that Casey's mom was the one who showed the affair partner to Casey. Apparently, in the month of November, Casey found out she was pregnant, and she begged Sherry not to tell anyone after Sherry found the test. When she told me everything, my world came crashing down, and I decided to leave. But before I left, I thanked Sherry and her father. Let's call him Max. Max apologized and said that if I left, he would completely understand. We shook hands, and I said thank you. I just looked at Casey's mom, and I then left my ex's house. I just drove away and didn't look back. Max and Sherry got furious with Casey's mom. Let's call her Jane. Around 7 p.m., Christmas time, I informed my family about what happened, and they all comforted me. At 11 p.m., my phone began blowing up with phone calls and text messages from my ex saying she could explain. I didn't answer back. I changed my number, deleted my social media, and changed my email. As much as I wanted closure, I didn't want to see her face. Fast forward to mid of 2020, one of my friends informed me that the affair partner who got Casey pregnant ran away after he found out he was the father, and they're looking for him. I simply said, who cares? Fast forward to last month, and Elsie, a number I had never seen before. My ex begged me to talk to her and possibly give her a chance at my favorite restaurant. I responded, why should I after you did what you did? She rambled on, and I just ignored her because I didn't want to go through the same pain that she had put me through. Casey began gaslighting me, and her friends and her mom called me a coward for not seeing her again. I told Jane, you have the audacity to say that after what you've done. She rambled on. I just hung up and blocked Jane and my ex's number. I informed her friends what happened and they left me alone. Sorry to interrupt, but if you enjoy my content, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Now, back to the story. Update. Of all days, Mother's Day, which was last week Sunday. My mom wanted to go to Red Lobster since she loves seafood. One of my sisters came along as well. Let's call her Raven. We were about to leave, and all of a sudden, I ran into my ex's sister Sherry and the Wicked Witch of the West Jane in Red Lobster. Sherry was in total shock at seeing me, and I was hoping Casey wasn't there with her, and thankfully she wasn't. Jane looked at me with disgust and Raven in disbelief. Jane was in total shock at seeing Raven for some reason, not sure why. I was about to explode until the moment I looked at my mom and Raven because they both wanted to pound Jane into the ground for what she did to me, so I had to calm both of them down. Sherry then begged me to talk to her, after a heated argument involving my mom, Jane, and my sister. Raven then suggested that, if I wanted to talk to Sherry, both of you talk alone. We won't be involved and not the snake bitch. We talked for a bit and asked me how have I been and said how she missed me and wished that I didn't leave. She told me that my ex was miserable when I left, and I responded that was not my problem. I then asked, how was school treating you? Sherry cried and said that Casey broke the laptop I gave her for Christmas a week after I left and ghosted her. I asked before I go, why does your mom hate me? I'm curious. Sherry then said it because she saw me with another woman, and it was that same woman that they both saw just now. I told Sherry that Casey's actions were wasted, and the warranty is still available until November 2022. Sherry literally danced for joy, and she said, I'll immediately get the laptop after dinner. We said goodbye, hugged, and left. The next day, I waited at Brandsmart. Work was slow. I saw Sherry, and to my surprise, Max came along. No lie, I had a smile on my face. We talked. Max loved the grill I gave, and he still apologized, but I told him there's nothing you can do. After the laptop was resolved, and we chatted for nearly an hour. They insisted on talking for a while, not sure why I told them it was good seeing them. But Max insisted on taking me to a restaurant I had never been to. He paid for everything as a thank you for giving Sherry another laptop. A better one, in fact. Sherry responded, I'm sorry about this. I hope you forgive me. Please don't be upset. Lo and behold, my ex came, and she looked in worse shape than I imagined. She tried to hug me. I just stuck my hand out and asked, what the hell do you want? Casey apologized and begged me to take her back, saying it was a mistake. Blah blah cheater excuse. I responded, you cheated on me for nearly a year when I worked my ass off for us, and this is how you repay me. She realized that mistake and said that it was Jane's fault, and I said you went along with it. You could have said I'm not happy with you anymore, but you didn't. It's not my problem anymore. I moved on, and you did too for nearly a year. The fact you gaslight me and tried to put the baby on me when we never had sex. The hell? And now, the affair partner left you, and he's on child support. Casey told me that her son is now 1 year old and needs a father. I told her good luck with that. She asks, why am I being so mean? I said, you're the reason for this. I wanted kids. I nearly got a house for us. Family stuff, and you threw all that away. Casey said that I threw it away because she told me Jane saw me with another woman, and she described what she looked like. I laughed and called Sherry to let her know who she had seen. Casey was crying really hard and that she realized all this time I was faithful. She wished she never listened to Jane and says, I hate her for this. Casey begged for another chance, saying we would fix everything and would do anything, just take me back. I simply just told Casey, Max, and Sherry to wish you all the best and walked out. I told my family why I was out a bit long, and they immediately were proud of me for not taking her back. My dad laughed and said Jane wanted you gone, son, and found a reason. A stupid one at that. You'll do better on the next woman. So, yeah, thank you guys for everything. I didn't think I would run into her again. Even though I got closure, it wasn't worth it to see the two women who broke me. I realized the wife had an affair after she died. My significant other, an extrovert, and I, an introvert, started dating in our mid-20s. We both had our fill of one-night stands and cheating partners. 3 years later, we were married. We were best friends that had a lot of fun and couldn't keep our hands off each other. On my significant other's 34th birthday, I gave her a ring box with a note asking if she would quit her birth control so we could have a baby together. She jumped into my arms and kissed me until I lost my balance and fell to the floor, the happiest I'd ever seen her. She took me into the bedroom, past the bed, and into the bathroom where we flushed her remaining pills. Over the next 5 years, we lost 3 pregnancies. This hurt us both deeply, so we talked and decided to adopt. The process is long, but in our early 40s, we watched our daughter Marie be born. The sparkle was back in her eye. The next 8 years were wonderful. My significant other was the kindest, most empathetic mother I'd ever seen. All of our friends told me how lucky I was. At 50, my significant other asked me to get a vasectomy to lessen the chance of another unwanted pregnancy. I had a bad case of the flu, the week of my snip, and I had to cancel. My significant other got the same flu as me the next week. She wouldn't let me take her to the hospital, but I finally took her to the emergency room where she had a stroke that lapsed into a coma. 6 horrible days later, she passed away. Both Marie and I were devastated. It took almost a year before she would sleep in her own bed. She said she was afraid I'd leave too. Soon I received 2 credit card statements in her name. The balance for both cards was just shy of $14,000, mostly in cash advances. This got me thinking about the last year. Sex life went from normal, down to once every week or two, to me giving and not getting head, but no penetration. She also had a few new foreplay tricks she'd never used before. We also went from talking over everything at dinner to barely talking by the end of the year, then to the point she would avoid talking to me at all. All we had was a landline with 2 phones. She would get mysterious late calls, and the caller register was always cleared. She went from a girls' night every week or two to girls' night twice a week by the end of the year. Her dress for girls' night also went from jeans and a sweater to being dolled up by the end of the year. She would even get her hair done sometimes. Then I got total confirmation of her affair in the mail again. I was blissfully ignorant and enjoyed the one-on-one time with Marie. Playtime, bath time, chasing her until she would go to bed, then story time and kiss her on the forehead. Good night. After a couple of years of grieving and obsessing, my company offered me a job far away and I jumped at it. I pretty much just swept everything under the rug and we left. Fast forward 10 years and I start having these very vivid dreams that I remembered for days. My significant other would be dressed beautifully, dancing and kissing her affair partner. They would go to their room, strip in front of me and throw their clothes on me like I was a cuck, then screw in front of me and laugh at my misery. I finally went to an IC, who told me that I never got closure on my significant other's affair. I, 64, just retired, and Marie, 22, wants to move back to our hometown. I am hesitant because I still don't know who the affair partner is, and I don't want to be nice to the sob that screwed my wife. I would be surprised if affair partner was outside our circle of friends. I also don't want Marie looking up to someone who screwed her mother. Should I ask significant other's best friend who affair partner is? She would know. Should I dig all this back up? I'm obsessing again. I thought all of this was behind me. Please let me know. Update. After my post, I started taking my prescribed sleep aids. I've had 8 really good nights of sleep without a dream about my significant other. I'm feeling better already. I talked to my significant other's best friend yesterday. She was happy to see me, and we went over to her sister's for Memorial Day barbecue. We went back to her place and spent some time catching up. Then I asked her if she knew who my significant other was having an affair with before she passed. She was stunned and surprised when I told her. I think it took her completely by surprise. She said, "Oh God, no. All she ever wanted was to have a family." She reminded me that was the year of her divorce, and rather than being less than a mile away from our house, she was now 20 miles away. They didn't see each other nearly as often as they used to. I don't know if it was a comment on my post or another post I read, but the commenter mentioned that when caught the WW would say she was lonely because I wouldn't talk to her even though it was her that stopped talking. Significant other may have actually been lonely with her manufactured cold shoulder to me and her best friend moving away. Another commenter said that significant other felt guilty and couldn't look me in the eye. Significant other was one to carry her guilt around like a ball and chain. I had my list of 9 possibilities, and without showing her my list, I asked best friend who she would put on her list of affair partners. The first name she said was number 2 on my list. The next 2 I had thought of but left off my list after I told her my reasons. She agreed. The 4th guy she mentioned was number 1 on my list. She had 2 more, and we agreed that it wouldn't be them either. Then I went through the rest of my list, and after discussion, we and I shot down most of them, but agreed that number 8 on my list was a possibility. Also, we both agreed that significant other would have to know someone to have an affair. She wasn't one to be picked up randomly. When we were done, she asked me if I noticed anything about the 3 guys. She said that they all had the same personality. They would talk only when talked to, funny, intelligent, caring, helpful, and somewhat of a perfectionist by nature. She said they were all like me, which is obviously my significant other's type. That floored me. Why would she look for another me if she already had me? Were we projecting? Was she looking for that spark we had when we first met? I always left work at work. I tried to take care of Marie when I came home from work so she could relax. Did I not give her enough attention? I always hugged and kissed my significant other in front of Marie. When Em was young, she sometimes got a little jealous, and it was cute. Later on, when we hugged and kissed, Marie would hop up and down and squeal until I swept her up, and significant other, and I would hug and kiss her between us, while she giggled in delight. After we get moved and settled in, I plan on taking Marie to town for a weekend and dropping her off with her friends while I go see number 1, number 2, and number 8. Hopefully, I will get the answer I want and be able to leave this nonsense alone for good. This is the final update on this story. The user has not provided any more updates.